You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling Oklahoma stories through its people since 1927. Follow them online at oklahomahof.com and definitely on Instagram at oklahomahof. Let's get into today's episode. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode down at the Oklahoma Hall of Fame today with Mr. Wes Welker, who, I mean, you played a lot of football in your day, and now you're teaching kids to play as good as you did. So excited to have you down here. For people listening that don't know, Wes has a really cool foundation, which I am on the board of for the first time, and excited to kind of dive into that later in the episode. First of all, obviously, we'll talk a little bit about you and what gets you into football, and then talk about the foundation and the impact that it's having in Oklahoma City, because we had the 7-on-7 a couple of weeks ago, and just seeing the kids come out for that, smiling faces, I mean, intense competition, which I absolutely love to see.
Right.
I'm sure it's fun to see something that you've started, kind of come to fruition. But before we get into that stuff, for people listening who, I mean, might meet you for the first time, what do you tell them that you do?
Well, I tell them now I'm a coach, and then as we get to talking, usually it's like, well, they're like, your story doesn't really add up. I'm like, well, I played for 12 years in the NFL and everything like that. So, but yeah, I've always loved football. I grew up playing soccer most of my life, and was always chomping at the bit to get to play football. And finally, in the 6th grade, a couple of my buddies were on a team, and I really wanted to play. I was begging my parents and everything else.
Yeah.
And, back then it was like for soccer, all you needed was shin guards, cleats, whatever. Shoot, football, you need a helmet, shoulder pads, thigh pads, pants, jersey, the whole deal. So, my parents sacrificed up and got me all that stuff, and started playing in 6th grade and really didn't look back since.
Yeah. Were they also kind of a little scared that the fact that, like, you can seriously get hurt in football?
You know what? Back then, we didn't really worry about it too much. I had an older brother that was playing, and so it was never really a big concern back then.
That was the one thing. I grew up in Wales, and rugby is like our national sport, and I took to soccer, football, and golf because I didn't want to play rugby, because I think I said to my nan once, like, I played one game, and like, I'm never playing that again because I got hit. And people listening probably think the same thing. Rugby is crazy. It's just football without pads, basically.
No, 100%. I think rugby is crazy.
Yeah.
No, there's no doubt. Whenever I
nuts.
see that, like, it's a pretty intense game, but yeah, it's a fun game. I've enjoyed it. I enjoy the aggressiveness of it, and I think when I was playing soccer, I'd always get called for fouls or this, and I'd be like, it's so ticky-tacky, and it's just soft, and so I was excited to get to, I think there's a mentality that comes with it of either you're going to be the hammer or the nail, and it's you or the other person, and you got to man up and kind of deliver those blows or take those blows, and whatever it is, and that's what makes it such a tough, interesting game.
Yeah. So 6th grade, from that point, then you get into it, fall in love, start running around, and I guess you have an older brother, so I'm the oldest brother. My younger brother is 5 years younger than me, and he was always trying to be better and trying to chase me, which, as a younger brother growing up, like, you don't realize it, but that gives you so much more than the older brother has, right? Because you can see everything, and I want to be there, and there's so many stories of the younger brother being better than the older one at sport, because they generally grow up playing at an older level with older brothers' mates. So you just kind of went after it and fell in love and
no, absolutely. I mean, whenever we were growing up, both my parents worked, so during the summers, it was me and my brother, and then all of his friends would come over, and, sitting there, a couple 911 calls, all that stuff, and playing football with all them, and actually doing okay against them, and then being so much older, but it definitely, they picked on me and everything else, and, kind of, I guess, brought out some toughness in me and different things like that. And, getting beat up, all those different things by them and all that stuff. And it's kind of, it definitely probably did help me. My brother likes to take a lot more credit than what's, sure. What's there is like, some of the stuff was kind of traumatizing, but at the end of the day, it all worked out.
Yeah. So fast forwarding then, you go to high school and you start really competing. When is the point where you think that like this has gone from just being a hobby and a sport to I could probably make a career out of this? Was there like a defining moment?
Not really. I mean, really back then I just enjoyed playing. Yeah. And so it wasn't ever like I'm going to the NFL. I loved the game. And I loved playing it. I loved practicing. I loved preparing for it. I loved everything about it. So it was just about getting better day in, day out, and trying to be the best version of myself. And every day I'm out there on the field, or whether I'm training or whatever I'm doing, is just trying to be the best version of myself that I could possibly be. And I think over time, day in, day out, of taking that mentality even from a very young age, and developing those good habits, I think I was able to really kind of surpass people and really kind of dial in the game the way I needed to play it. Yeah.
You think that's so different now to the kids kids who are in high school now, they're already not even thinking college, they're thinking I'm going to be in the NFL, and they're trying to get there, but they're not breaking it down to what you just said. They're not breaking it down to the daily task of improving. They're, 4 years ahead of themselves.
100%. Yeah. No, I mean, I think there's a lot of, and it's not their fault. They're all young kids, right. And they don't necessarily understand the fact that everybody's telling them how great they are and this and that. And yeah, that's great, but you're still very young, and you don't know. And you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. And so they think they're going to the league when they're, 12, 13, 14, and it's like, maybe. Like, the odds of that are very, very slim. And so what they start doing, they stop working as hard, because like, no, I'm going to make it. I'm good. And it's like, no, you're not. But you don't know that you're not. And so it's like getting through these, thick-headed kids that, there's a lot of work that's involved. There's so much that they don't know, that they don't understand about the game and all those different things. And those guys, they become hard to coach. They become hard to deal with, because they are talented, but they don't necessarily want to do it the right way. And eventually it catches up with them. Yeah. And, there's very, very few just freaks out there that, can right. get away with that. But you definitely do see it, and especially all the NIL deals in college and all those different things. It's a different world.
It's nuts, isn't it?
It really is. So it's interesting. I think they find out when they get to the pros very, very quickly that, oh, wait, this is different. Like, I need to be on my stuff. I need to, they're only keeping this many guys in the room, and there's, double that right now, and you try to remind them of that, and try to sit there and talk to them and talk sense into them and understand, like, there's a long ways to go still. And as you start to talk with them, they start to realize, that they're not where they need to be, and they have a lot of catching up to do because of bad habits that they formed earlier on, thinking that they were good to go.
Thinking they were superstars.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the tough part about the world we live in now, isn't it? It's like instant gratification. I'm going to make it. It'll be fine. And then, like I said, they're not taking the day-to-day to plan it, but they're also not thinking about what happens if it doesn't work out.
100%.
Sadly, they end up going to work at some place they didn't want to work out, or they don't get a scholarship, whatever it is. Like, they just like, I'm going to make it. I don't need grades or school or whatever it is.
100%. No, you do. You see it quite a bit, that just the mentality, and all of a sudden the opportunity's gone. And now they're looking to point fingers at other people. And it just, to me, it kind of happens at a younger age, where they kind of start this cycle. And then all of a sudden it sneaks up on them, and it's over. And they're like, what? But but I was this, I was that, yeah, but we tried to talk to you and you didn't want to listen, and this is what it is. So it's frustrating at times, but the guys that get it, it's very, very rewarding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a bond there, right? Like I can see a bit of myself in the kid or whatever it is, and like I get it because I did, put in my hours and did my time. Going back to, so you went to Heritage Hall High School, and then you guys won. Did you win state that one of the years you were there?
We did. My junior year, we won.
Yeah. How was that experience?
It was awesome. It was such a cool year. Mm-hmm. Heritage Hall wasn't known for football or sports in general back then. Yeah. It was just, a really good educational private school here in Oklahoma City. And, I think that my junior year, we probably had 20-something guys come out for the team. So it was really cool to see the development of all those guys. And then the next year, how many guys ended up coming out for football, mm-hmm. And what's kind of transpired there at Heritage Hall and all the state championships they've won now, and how the programs and the sports and everything has grown, and the basketball team, tennis has always been great and all that, but just how it's kind of taking them to another level mm-hmm. on different things. It was really cool, and then the guys that we had on that team, and it's just fun when you get a group of guys that are a team, right, and able to play together, and you trust one another and all those different things, and it doesn't happen as often as you think, and so when it does happen, you definitely cherish those times.
Yeah, it looks effortless. Right, when you get a team that clicks like that in a locker room that generally gets everybody and you're all, on the same pattern or whatever it is, like it makes it look really easy. It
does. Even though there was so much hard work that went into it.
Yeah, nobody sees that though, do they?
Yeah. So it's definitely a very gratifying thing whenever it does kind of click and come together like that, and so I always tell people, like, it's more about the person than any ability, yes, and talent and all those different things. But, the person committing and going all in, and, playing for the guy next to you, and all those different things that are hard to get guys to buy into. Right. But it's because there's so much individual type deals out there, Instagram, Twitter, this, that, or whatever, and me, this, and it's becoming a harder and harder thing to do because everybody wants endorsement deals. Everybody wants this. Everybody wants that, and they want all the accolades and everything. And it's very, very cool when it does all come together.
So you win state championship. What happens? Like, do you have offers from universities at that point? I know you're in your junior year, but are people like coming to you, and is that a reality that I could be playing college ball now, and then you got to think, where do I go? Where would I like to play? Were you an OU fan, OSU fan? Like, what was that time like?
Yeah, no, I remember, like, after my junior year, I think it was as far as like players in the state or whatever, I was number 2. After my junior year, I think Wes Sims was number 1, and then I was 2, and as far as guys going to college and going to be big time players or whatever, and so. I thought that was a pretty cool deal and all that. And then, I went to some camps that summer and, ran the 40, and I was a 4.6 guy, always been a 4.6 guy. And so nobody offered me, being 5'9" and small white guy who runs 4.6, like good high school player, but, is he really going to be able to transfer that onto the college level? And so, went through that whole process and thinking that I was going to be highly recruited, and really wasn't. Yeah. And so, but I was a huge OU fan all growing up. I mean, if you're growing up in the 80s, and watching 85, 86 Oklahoma Sooners and all the players they had, and, I was Brian Bosworth for Halloween and, all that stuff. And, but just had a different path there once it kind of came for signing day.
Yeah. So you eventually went to Texas Tech.
I did, yeah.
I mean, I've been down there for a couple of games, and it is a place to go. There's nothing else down there, obviously, but like if you are there, it is a fun to go to. But just being in that stadium, that bowl effect, like it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a really electric place. It really is. Like as far as games, especially night games and stuff, and our fans and student section are pretty rowdy, especially night games. You give West Texas boys a long time to start drinking and getting ready for the game and everything. It gets pretty fun, pretty hostile, all that stuff. But I really enjoyed my time there at Texas Tech. And, even if I could have chosen a place, I don't think I could have picked a place better than Texas Tech. And so, made a lot of great friendships there and so many great people along the way. It was really cool to be a part of.
With a quick Google search, I found some stats, and what was it 3,628 yards total for 4 years? I think is what it says on Google.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, no, they know better than I do.
It looks like kind of junior, senior year, you kind of in the 1200s, both of them. So obviously you kind of found a little bit of confidence, had a little bit of, you come in as a freshman and a sophomore, but towards the end of your college career, obviously the numbers speak for themselves. To that point, what was like the mind switch of that? Was it just you just played more games, or was it like, I've got a chip on my shoulder, I can do something here, like this is my time?
I think it goes back to what we kind of talked about earlier of, just daily getting better, and learning the system and learning how to play football, practicing at a very, I want to say high level, but like I was practicing as hard as I could and treating every day like game day and all those different things. And I think, over time you get better.
Right.
And, you train harder. You add good habits to your routine. And when you're doing that day after day after day, you can't help but just get better at it. And deliberately practicing that way every single day, whether it's workouts or practice or whatever it is. And when you do that with a deliberate mindset, there's only one way to go, and that's to get better. Yeah. And so by the time I started getting to my junior, senior year, I think all those reps of over and over and over again, it started showing.
Yeah. Do you think, not do you think, but were you, because of kind of like, like you said, you 5'9", ran a 4.6, that on paper you wouldn't look like somebody would want to recruit, but then were you kind of just like, if I can do this and show them with my stats and with my playing, they are going to believe. Like you clearly didn't want to give up. Like football, like you said, it was your love. So.
I didn't really know.
Yeah.
At the time.
Just loved it so much.
I just loved it. I knew I could play.
Yeah.
But there was always doubt.
Sure.
There's always like, maybe I can't. I don't know. Yeah. I've never played at that level, and all these people who seem to be pros at what they do, or whatever they are, they're head coaches or coaches in the college or whatever they are. Scout, whatever. Yeah. Like, all right, obviously they do this for a living, so they should be right. But I don't know. I try not to think about it. There definitely was doubt, but it wasn't like I didn't think I could do it. Sure. It was just, the fact of like, I don't know, but I'd love to give it a shot. Yeah. I'd love to sit there and go against somebody that they perceive as whatever, a freak or whatever they deem a better football player, right. And I think given those opportunities, and then let's see what happens. Yeah.
Did you always kind of in college enjoy coming back to Oklahoma, being like, I'm going to show you guys what you're missing out on, and you're coming back here, and like, as a player, like I just love that competitive side and coming back to a state that you grew up in and being a fan of, and I'm coming back and I'm playing now, which is, I don't know, that's kind of special. But
no, it is.
Was that like?
It definitely was. I mean, no, there was definitely some bigger meaning to it, and especially games where we played Oklahoma State, and different things like that. And I definitely enjoyed that. I don't know. I wouldn't say it was like a huge chip or anything. It was just, I don't know. It was the next game, and but it was important to me.
Yeah.
But I also wouldn't say it was the end all be all or anything.
It wasn't going to define you if you didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Is there anyone you played against that didn't make it that you just like, I wish this guy would have put some more effort in because he was outrageously good?
Oh man, shoot. I mean. I hate to say anybody but
it might not have been a play because they didn't put in the effort, but guys that just didn't get the opportunity to show off who they were.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of kids out there, and I think that was a big part of starting the foundation, just because of there were so many great athletes. I mean, you go to a 7-on-7 deal that we do, and just how many great athletes are out there. And then just having the opportunity and the resources to be able to showcase their talents. And I think a lot of kids get, whatever it is, whether it's, getting caught up in gang stuff or,
family,
or, drugs, family, this, whatever it is, maybe not being able to get a ride, whatever it is to, not really realize their full potential and what they can be. And so I think there were so many guys like that growing up that, I think, I don't know what their dreams were. I don't know what what they were, kind of thinking for themselves or anything else. I just knew they were very, very talented, but there was something missing, as far as whatever it was. And it could have been them just personally, not wanting to go for it.
Yeah.
So some people are just that way where that seems really hard.
Yeah.
And it is, but it's worth it.
Yeah, no doubt. Tell me about kind of like the year of like, kind of you're coming towards the end of your senior year and like the possibility of going and playing in the league. Like, what is that feeling like? Do you get invited to the combine? Like, kind of what is that period like? And if that doesn't go to plan, do you have a backup plan at that point?
Yeah. Well, I mean, back then, it's funny. I go to the combine now and there's like, guys shorter than me, that are at the combine, and so I just sit there. I'm like, okay, well, and like I always, the guys are always like, oh, what do you think of this guy? And it's like this white slot receiver and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I just have a hard time drafting that guy. Yeah. It's just like, I'm like, I mean, as a free agent, I like him, just because that's what I was. And so, and I was taken in a spot where probably I should have been taken, and looking back, is that the case? No, but really looking at the skill set and all those different things, and I ran a 4.6 and all those different things. Yeah, I probably wouldn't draft me either, but it's that's where the part about the background of the person and what he's about, and
it's more than just what's on the sheet, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. It's actually a bigger part to me.
Yeah. Do you think that, to that point then, do you think the combine is like a bit overrated? Because they kind of misses out?
Yes and no. I think there are certain aspects to the combine that are worth noting and everything. And I think you're always trying to look at, how good of an athlete they are. And but I like the combine just being able to talk to him.
Yeah.
And seeing like, all right, do I want to coach this guy? Do I want this guy in the room?
Right.
Is he going to be good for us, or is he going to let us down? Like, what type of, feel am I getting from him? Does he feel like he knows it all, or is this guy eager to learn and eager to go out there and play ball? Does he love ball? Does he, all these different kind of little things. And I wouldn't say there's an exact science to it. It's just kind of getting a feel for the person.
Yeah,
and what they're
kind
about.
of using the combine as an excuse to get these guys in the room. So like you said, you can take a deeper look at them and figure out, are they a human being that, like I said, I want to spend time with, or do they think they walk on clouds and they're going to be the best in the world and they're clueless?
And if I press buttons on them, and do they get all emotional and kind of like, I don't want that guy.
Yeah.
Or they like, oh, yes or no, I see what you're saying. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, tell me more. Yeah. Like, okay, well, I also think you can do it. And then you're like, okay, this guy gets it.
Have you watched the new Adam Sandler Hustle movie yet?
I haven't yet.
I watched it last night, and that's when you watch it, you'll think exactly the same thing as what you just said, is because in that movie, he goes to a draft or goes to a game, whatever, and they push his buttons and he freaks out.
Right.
Or the player. I mean, obviously it's a movie, so it comes back around full circle. But you're right. It's just getting them there and trying to test them to a point that they, it's not like you're not going to have any smack talking in the in the NFL. Is it? Like, it's not going to be all cotton wool and roses. Like, you're going to get hit and you're going to get told, welcome to the league, and you're going to get put in your ass. But it's how you bounce back from that.
Absolutely.
So that's interesting.
No, it's all about the response.
Yeah.
And how you come back from it.
Yeah. So what was that moment like then when you do get the call? You're like, hey, we want to take a chance at you. We want you. You're not going to be going into coaching or business or whatever you want. The backup plan was you're actually going to be playing.
Yeah. So after the draft was over, I started getting calls from different teams, and finally ended up settling on San Diego. Yeah. To be a free agent there, and no, I was excited just to have an opportunity, and my outlook on it was, all right, I know it's a long shot and everything else, but I'm going to do everything I can possibly do to put myself in the best situation possible. And if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, at least like I knew I gave my all, and I can go home with my head held up high.
Yeah. What was that first locker room moment like? When you walk in and you're like, I mean, to me, the first time I met Derek Anderson, for example, I'm like, this guy's massive. Yeah. And he's the one throwing the ball. I can't imagine what the guys look like who are actually on the line look like.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely kind of like you're a little bit, I wouldn't say awestruck or anything like that, but you're a little bit intimidated because you really don't know what to expect. You don't know what's really going to happen. And, back then, the way Marty Schottenheimer did it there is he basically had the vets practice, like right as we got, the drafted guys and undrafted, we get there the next week and all the veterans are there and they're practicing. And you just see how fast everything's moving. Yeah. And you don't have many reps or anything like that. So you're kind of like watching and stuff and you're kind of sitting there like, oh, wow. Like this is happening very, very quickly. Yeah. And the play calls are like that. And then you got to get lined up and you got to know what to do and you got to execute your assignment and do all these things. And you're like, damn, okay. Yeah. Like it is. It's kind of intimidating at first. And you start looking at playbooks and all these different things. Yeah. And you're like, damn, you're a little overwhelmed and all these different things. Things are happening very fast and putting in more plays and you're having to keep up and still stay track of the plays they put in 4 days ago. And, so there's definitely a lot going on, which is, the life of a rookie. It's just, it's very, very difficult because it is a huge culture shock for them.
Yeah. Back to what you said earlier about treating every day and practicing as hard as you can and treating it like a game day. That must have excited you to see that speed and that kind of like, I guess, ferocious or ferocity that you guys were practicing at the time.
Yeah. I mean, you get to see what professionals look like.
Yeah.
And in college, like, there's good players and everything, but now it's like the top of those college players all blended together and they're all competing for jobs. Yeah. And it is a cutthroat type of business and everybody's competing against each other and it's either you or the other guy. getting a plus or minus every single play, and are you doing your job correctly, and all these different things, and coaches are on you, and all this stuff, and your head's kind of swirling there for a while, and just continue to work and grind at it, and eventually you start to get there.
Mm-hmm. After San Diego, what happened? What's kind of, are you there for a long time? Where do you go after that? I mean, what's kind of, where you get your feet wet and you get settled in?
Yeah, so
I feel like you belong.
I went in to San Diego, last on the depth chart, going to the preseason games. We had 4 preseason games back then, and ended up returning a punt for a touchdown, caught a touchdown pass, made some big punt returns, and covering kicks and making tackles, and doing all these different things to give myself a chance, and end up making the team week 1, and then return kicks week 1 for the Chargers, and then the next week they wanted to be on practice squad there, and I felt like I had earned a spot on the team just by the way I'd been performing, and so anyways, I was like, well, it's time for me to move on. I need to get somewhere where I get
valued.
And get more of an opportunity.
Sure.
And anyways, that's when I ended up signing with Miami. I was going to be on their practice squad.
Yeah.
And then their returner had a bad game and fumbled a few times, and I'm brought up the next week, and then I'm returning kicks and punts and covering kicks and all those different things my rookie year.
A lot of self-confidence at that point, right? Because a lot of guys might have been like, oh yeah, I'll just go back to practice squad and kind of just yes sir, no sir, don't want to step on any toes as a rookie. But you're like, no, I believe in myself. I should be where I am. Like, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go somewhere else and go for it. It takes a lot of balls.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I think I'm kind of hard-headed that way.
Yeah.
If I feel like I earned something, I want to be acknowledged that I've earned it.
Yeah.
And I felt like there was other guys there that didn't necessarily earn it, and that happens a lot in the NFL.
Right.
And it's nothing like personal. It's just the fact that I deserved it.
Yeah.
And I felt that. And when I'm feeling that, I don't really care about the other.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's just like, no, it's just, I don't know. I guess I'm more of a realist that way, and it's like, this is what it is, and either you all want it or you don't. Okay, you don't, that's fine. I'm gone.
It does take a lot of self-belief to do that, though, right? And even back to what you said earlier about, like, yeah, we have doubts and stuff, but at that time you had zero doubts. You're like, I've earned it. I've clearly shown it. Like, I should be playing, and I'm going to go somewhere where I'm playing, which, I mean, obviously it worked out.
Yeah, no, it did. I mean, luckily.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's just kind of, I didn't really have to think about that one.
Yeah.
That one was pretty cut and dry for me. There's obviously a lot of situations where you sit there like, was that right? Was it, and it's like, was I acting too emotional? Was I, but you try to make the best decision possible for yourself, your family, and your career, and everything else, and then you just keep it moving.
Yeah. So at some point you end up going to the Patriots, which most people probably talk to you about, because obviously you played with Brady and Belichick and the whole, royalty that they are in football that I see from being someone who doesn't follow football.
Right.
One thing that a friend of me texted me today said, why is it that nobody talks about Belichick? Like, he's got like this kind of lords over everybody that no one talks crap about him at all. You can't find anything about him. What was it like when you got that call and you go up there and you just like, you see this man who's never smiles, he's the grumpiest person in the world, but obviously he's very good at what he does?
Yeah, no, I was excited about the opportunity.
Yeah.
I had been watching them. They had Troy Brown up there, who's, a legend slot receiver, and outside, I mean, just a really good player. And so I knew I was kind of take on that role of what he was doing, and they're using a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, so I could, really kind of flourish in the slot there. And I think the vision of Belichick and everything to kind of understand and see that, we don't just have 3 receivers on the field just for third down. You can do first and second down. And you look at the league now, and that's pretty much 90% of the league now is has 3 wide receiver sets out there. And then now you're seeing it trend a little bit back to the other way because defenses are going against that every single day. Well, they're not going against a fullback in the backfield, and that changes a lot of things for the linebackers and the defenses, and so it gives them a lot more to prepare for. And but it's just interesting how the game evolves one way or another, just kind of depending on personnels and different things like that.
Yeah. Would you say that like being at the Patriots was the most fun you had while you were in the NFL?
I think when I first got there in 2007, the team we had was just, I'll say to this day, like, that was the best football team that's ever taken the field. And I know we went 18-1 and didn't win at all, but you just look at the roster now looking back, and it's pretty incredible the type of guys that we had. Not only talented guys, but 10-plus year guys on that team all over the place. And, Hall of Famers and Patriots Hall of Famers and, some really, really good players, not only talent-wise, but they were pros, and they were on their stuff, and we played together, and it was really cool to be around that. And some of my best friends, from that year, just, because of what we went through and the mindset we all had.
Kind of back to the Heritage Hall state winning team, right?
Yeah.
Kind of the same mentality, just on a totally different level.
Yeah, just a way more talented team.
But just that same chemistry, right? Of
absolutely.
You've got your boys around you.
Absolutely.
It's
absolutely.
It's fun to have that, and I've kind of had a little bit of that in golf, but being a personal, individual sports, that's one thing I miss from golf is that we don't have like mega team sports like that.
Right.
But you said something there about the Hall of Fame. You had that call yet? Do you ever think you'll be in the Hall of Fame? You ever thought about it?
I don't think so.
No?
I think there's too many guys with really a lot better numbers than what I had.
Yeah.
And so, if it happened, great. But I just think there's so many other guys that are more deserving that haven't gotten the call yet. So... But I'm good.
Yeah.
If it happened, that'd be cool and everything. But I'm also very happy with the career that I had and what I was able to accomplish and all those different things.
Yeah. How does it when you're playing? Do you think that like you're while you're playing and you're coming towards the end of your career? Do you think that, I think I'll try coaching. I kind of enjoy that. What leads you to wanting to give back to the people, to give back to the kids who are coming up, whether it's through the foundation or like coaching at a professional level? Like, what was that decision?
Yeah, well, I took a year off from football, and I think that was the best thing that I did.
Yeah.
It was really hard, and going through that year. I looked into broadcasting and different things. I was like, no, this
not me.
I can't. No, this ain't my deal.
Although Brady's broadcasting deal recently is very, very enticing.
Well, yeah. If they sat there and came out and offered me that, I'd be like, oh yeah, no, this is I'll do that.
The numbers weren't that good at the time.
No. I was gonna start like way at the bottom and have to build
probably
myself up and everything.
Right?
And
you'd be on the road more.
Yeah, and I don't know. The one thing that got me is I think I was at the NFL Network, and they were like, yeah, John Madden, we think he's about to pass away. So we're going to do a tribute to him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but he's not dead.
He's not dead yet.
And he ended up living, like, he just passed away, like, this is like, 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, this is weird. And we're all, like, talking about our favorite Madden stories about, like.
He's, like, in the room.
And yeah. And I'm just like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't feel comfortable. Like, this is
not my world.
Yeah, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
This is fake. This is a fraud deal. This is, like, I'm not about this.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, I'm good. And but I think with that year away, being away from the game, I was living in Miami at the time, or Fort Lauderdale, and Adam Gase had taken the coaching job there. So I would go up there and kind of like help out and kind of like get a feel for it and everything like that. And still wanted to play. I think deep down and stuff. But after a year, nobody calling and all those different things, I actually went to a Houston Texans game. A couple of my good friends, Mike Vrabel and Larry Izzo, were coaching there. And so I went down to hang out and see them, and Bill O'Brien was the head coach. And I'd kind of mentioned to Mike and Larry that, I'd like to, think about getting into coaching. And they told Bill, and Billy, I talked to him, and he was like, let's talk after the season, and ended up, getting on with Houston, basically being an offensive assistant for 2 years there. And, and did that deal, and that was a grind. And, you kind of sit there and you're like, okay, this is what I want to do, but it's almost like a rite of passage to get to coach, because you're doing all the legwork stuff. And I'm just like,
starting again, right?
You're starting all over again. Going from being a franchise player to, putting copies in a notebook.
Yeah.
And about 60 notebooks. And you're just in there organizing it all, getting on, and you're just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad I kind of got through that process, and then to where I was able to. I was just like, I just need my own room. I just want to coach my own room, and got the opportunity in San Francisco for these past 3 years, and
had a pretty good run with them, right?
It was really good.
Yeah,
really good. Got to go to the Super Bowl, that first year.
Yeah.
We drafted Deebo Samuel there in the second round, which was, awesome. Next year we got Brandon Ayuk and Juwan Jennings. And then this past year, those three, really propelled us, to the NFC Championship game, and we're, a player or two away from going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. It must be fun to look back and kind of see what you mentioned earlier of like how the styles have changed, and kind of like, you coming in, and one of the other names that were thrown out was Hines Ward as well, like the kind of players that you were, and just like at the time there really wasn't much, and you guys have kind of created that sort of position and made more people aware that this is possible.
Right.
And then now, like you said, they're going back to having less receivers lined up, and I mean, that of the years that you've been in, it's fun to kind of see how the game's evolving, and now as a coach be like, I've seen everything.
Right.
How do we throw out some things that no one's going to see?
Yeah.
But also you have to learn everything, because the other coach is going to be thinking the same thing as well. So it's more fascinating in the role you're in now compared to as a player.
It is. And you start to realize, like, shoot, if there's anything else that you could possibly do, any plays that you could possibly do on a football field, I feel like they've been done already.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty much at its max. And that's the cool thing about coaching now is everything's already out there. Mm-hmm. There's no real new plays you're going to do. There may be different ways of looking at it and all those different things. And it's like who can be technically the best,
right?
And really dial in exactly how you need to do each route against every coverage, and really be able to dwindle it down and dial it in to where it becomes art.
Yeah. Because that's what it is, isn't it? It's like when you execute everything perfectly, it is an art form. Like you could watch it play by play back on the TV in the film room after and be like, I mean, that's exactly how we thought about it. Like 100%. Everybody to the step is running exactly where they need to be.
100%. And that's really what coaching to me is saving those clips. Mm-hmm. And then also saving the clips that guys screw up.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is what you're going to want to do. Don't do it.
Right.
All right, look here, watch it. I'm telling you.
It's going to happen.
All right, don't do it. All right, this is the way you have to do it.
Yeah.
And if you attack it this way, whatever it is, then it's like, okay, well, he told me what not to do very, very clearly. So whenever they do what I told them not to, I'm sitting there, I'm like, we just went over then I can lose my mind a little bit.
Right.
And then it's like,
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, jeez. Yeah.
Okay. No more times. I told you once. You completely figured this out.
I find myself in coaching is just like, I feel like I'm just repeating myself over and over.
Which is crazy because you're at the elite level, right?
I know.
You think I shouldn't have to do this, right? Like I shouldn't, it's like I'm going back to high school and I'm telling these kids, but at the same time, people are people, right?
That's where it comes down to the person.
Yeah.
That's where it's like, do they get it? Are they locked in? Is it everything? Is it, all these different things?
With the coaching thing then, is it just like one day, you want to be at the top of the tree, you want to run a team, whether it's NFL or college, like that is the end goal?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. No, I would love to. I think with my experiences and the people I've been around and, being the practice squad guy to being the franchise player, I've been all, at one point or another, I've been 1 through 53.
Sure.
Wherever I fell on that roster or whatever. So I kind of know what every player's going through. I know where their mindset is. I've been through contracts, been through injuries, you pretty much name it. I've probably gone through it. Been benched, been, elevated, so all the ups and downs that come with the NFL and understanding each player and where they're at in their career and, trying to maximize their potential or seeing things that, maybe I went through and kind of getting a feel. I know what he's thinking, and being able to talk to him, and kind of lead him down the right path, and all those different things are, to me, kind of invaluable to be able to have those type of experiences where you can go back on your career and be like, this is what happened to me. All right, this is how I dealt with it. This is This is what I did to get myself ready for it. Whatever it is, you've kind of been
There's
there,
a relation
and you know
there,
what it
isn't
is.
it? Yeah, you can relate.
It's all relation, and it's all about relationships.
Yeah. Is that something that's like close to happening? Have you had offers, or is it just like whenever it happens, I'll make it happen?
It's the same thing as playing.
Yeah.
So it's literally day by day. So I'm just trying to be the best wide receiver coach I can possibly be, and prepare my guys the best they can, best I can, and then whatever they do out there on Sunday, like, all right, we learn from it, we move on, and then we continue to get better and better, and I'm getting better. And going through more experiences and how to deal with different situations and all those things to, hopefully prepare me when the opportunity comes.
Right. Is there any guys that you've had like on any of your teams that have come from Heritage Hall? I mean, there's guys in the league that have come from Heritage Hall, but is there anyone yet that's like you've known since they were in high school that have now made it through college and come onto the league that you have a really cool relationship with?
From Heritage?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I kind of know Sterling Shepard. I wouldn't say like we're like really close or anything like that, but
you haven't coached any of them like from
not from Heritage or anything. I had some guys I played with that I ended up coaching, Demarius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, some guys that later in my career were kind of in their prime that I ended up coaching, and that was a cool experience. Just because they know me and they know how I am, and it was fun to be around.
Yeah. Anyone when you were playing that, like, when you lined up against, you knew you had their number and you could just think, I love playing against this guy because I know I'm a little quicker than him and I could have some fun and throw him some dummies and I own this person? Or even just a game that you were just like, this guy's got no chance?
Tell you the truth, I felt that way a lot. I mean, I don't know. I hate to say it, but I did. Like, I had had a lot of confidence in myself, and just from what I was able to do through practice. You know, Belichick was very hard on us in practice. He'd tell the DBs, hold him. Like, I don't care, hold him. They're going to hold him in the game. Like,
we're not calling anything
they're
on you
not
in
calling
practice.
anything.
You do
So
you want.
like, and it made me like really like I had to kill people at the line of scrimmage and run precise routes and get that separation. And because I knew like if I didn't, like I was going to get held.
Yeah.
And so it made the game so much easier. So once I get to a guy, like first off, he can't hold now.
Right.
And I'm going to kill him anyway. Like, so it did prepare me for those situations once game time.
It's such an interesting and simple way to look at practice, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're going to practice harder than we should be playing in the game because it makes the game so much easier.
100%.
Why don't people do this all the time?
There's so many ways. When you deliberately do something to your max level, you can't help but get better. And now it prepares you for the real test, and you make it as hard as possible. And that way, once the real test comes, it should be easy.
Yeah.
But it has to be hard at some point. And as long as you're making it hard for yourself, then you're gonna be able to have success. But it's a very hard thing to get guys to understand because they don't want it to be hard.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I mean, nobody wants it to be hard, right? And they also, like I said, they have confidence, and they think, regardless if it's hard or not, they want, it's easy. And
100%.
It's tough for people to say, this is only practice, but it's not only practice. It's more than that.
Right.
People showing up like, oh, take it easy today. We're just practicing.
Right.
Well, it probably won't last very long.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. No, you see the guys that have a lot of success are the guys that, go out there and practice the right way.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that go on to have really good careers.
Yeah. So you obviously were around Belichick for plenty of years and got to learn from him. One of the questions, and you'll know who sent this question after I tell you, is that I want you to compare Belichick's coaching style to Andy Bogut's coaching style. Because Andy's obviously a local legend.
Oh, absolutely.
Very accomplished.
Absolutely.
May have been extremely successful in the NFL if he'd had his chance.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. Andy was always really sharp, man. He really was. I think both of them did a great job preparing their teams, for what they were going to see and what we were going to go against. I think the preparation was the key part. Obviously we're in high school, and Andy was tough, but like he also liked to have fun. And he had a good sense of humor and all those different things. And, with Bill, it's, you can have fun, but you better play well, And so it's like, all right, well, I better be on my stuff. I better, there's it should be, it's the pros. So
you gotta enjoy it at the same time.
But at the same time, you'd like to, it's still a game.
Yeah,
and to have fun and enjoying it.
Yeah. Finishing up then, obviously, I mean, the main reason I'm here is obviously to talk about the foundation that I'm, been honored to be on and talk about and meet the people and see the impact that you've had for a few years. Tell me about kind of like where the idea for the foundation comes from and kind of why and when it started.
Yeah, so, I mean, it was early on in my career. I want to say like 05, 06 or whatever. My brother and sister-in-law were both teachers at the time. Talking with them and all the kids with, free lunches and, that how bad it is. And also thinking back of, like we talked about before with, how many athletes are out there and just getting the opportunity, the equipment, having something to shoot for, and with us putting in these weight rooms and finding coaches that are really invested into the players in their program and giving them something to, hey, we got this weight room. All right, this summer, we're going to meet up here at this time, and we're going to get better, and we're going to build a camaraderie, and we're going to I think it teaches discipline. I think it gets kids up in the morning and get them going. And while these kids are going working out and then going to a job and sitting there waking up doing the same thing, but I think it just kind of keeps them on the straight and narrow and forms that routine and that discipline, as opposed to what else are they doing all summer long? Or they just have a job and just kind of hanging out and getting into trouble and doing all these things? Or is there a goal in place that they'd like to get to at some point, and trying to give those different avenues for these kids to have that opportunity if they want it, but they got to want it.
That very true. And to that, I mean, just seeing the impact, and I mean, some of the schools we went to this year, it was as simple as like having enough pads and helmets and like basic things, right? That like stop these kids from coming in and, like you said, building camaraderie and building a team atmosphere and giving them something to play for and something that they really enjoy doing, right? And also maintaining their health. I think knee braces was a big one this year. I think we gave out a lot of knee braces and just things that also prevent future injury, right? Because these kids, they're obviously, they got full of energy, but they're not doing anything to protect themselves because, as we all do when you're kids, we think we're invincible, right? And they don't think, I'm playing a full contact sport, I might break an ACL and that's going to ruin my future college chances or whatever it is. But, and then you go as far as, like I said, you have the 7-on-7 camp, which, I mean, people come out to watch that because it is amazing. It's it's not just, obviously it's a great reason to come out and a great thing to support, but even just to come out and watch how good these kids are, with very little direction.
Oh no, there's so much. There's tons of talent everywhere. There really is, and it's a good chance to even kind of talk to the kids. So, I think it's the first thing I'd say to them is, how many guys want to play college ball? It's like, so I got a lot of friends that are college coaches and everything else. What do you think is the first thing they look at whenever they come to your school to visit you or talk to coaches or whatever it is? And it's like, film, it's like, no, your grades. Like, if you don't make grades, like, you can't go to school. They won't, like, they'll like you, but if you can't get into the school, like, how are you going to, they'll find, like, no. Like, you'd have to be a very, very elite type of player for them to take a chance like that, because you got to be able to make your grades to kind of move on to the next level. And really, like, doing that serves you so much better because, all right, well, I know this is the task at place. All right, well, I'm going to do this. And now they do that and they realize they can do it and they build confidence. And it's, there's so much things with young people getting discouraged or thinking that, that dream's not going to be there, and it actually is. But you gotta go get it. And nobody's going to do it for you. But here's a weight room. Here's jerseys, here's knee braces, here's whatever. What's holding you back now? You have no excuses. And so now it's on you. And so the guys that, buy into it and they take pride in it and they, want to do something with it, they got a chance.
For people listening, the website for the foundation is Wes Welker, foundation.org. I'll put that in the description. You can go to that and see the impact if you want to give to it. There's plenty of ways to give to it. And we have a golf tournament Monday, which I'm looking forward to. Weather's going to be great. Cuba does a great job of putting that on. I'm excited to be out there for that. I'm sure you are. You get a chance to actually play a bit of golf.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I'm sure you don't get much time
I played with
too.
my dad yesterday, and I actually played pretty well. So I'm ready to go light up the golf course a little bit.
Yes, we'll definitely have some fun out there. I'm looking forward to being out there, and it's fun, isn't it? It's always fun to give back and fun to raise money because you directly see the impact, right? You meet these kids face to face, and you have real conversations with these kids, and regardless if they don't go on to play in the league, you're helping them be better human beings in general, right? Like the people who reach the league is the this very, very small percentage, but if we can enrich the lives of young kids and give them an opportunity and maybe pay for their college through a football scholarship, and they go on to be, business leaders in the community, then the job of the foundation has been done right, isn't it? So,
100%. 100%.
It's awesome to watch. But Nate, I really appreciate you coming down. Pleasure. I think one of the big lessons that we've learned today for people listening is just take it day by day, hone in on your craft. Don't worry about the long game; it'll take care of itself. And if you can focus on the day, doing each task and growing every day, then the rest of it will take care of itself.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
For people listening,
doing it.
Yeah, for people listening, how can they, follow you, reach out? Obviously the website I'll put to the foundation, but is there any other way that if someone's listening that's getting into coaching, wants to get involved, what's the best way to reach out?
You know what? That's a great question. I have a Twitter. I'm not a big social media guy, though. I think that my best advice is really getting invested somewhere where you feel like you can make an impact.
Okay.
And wherever that is, whether it's high school level or college level, different things like that. I think persistence with people is a good thing, and I know it's a hard thing for guys to do, but a person who's very persistent and wants to do something, I think they'll relish the opportunity to once they do get that op, and it's not going to happen overnight. For me, it was, I had 12 years in the league, so I had so many relationships and a background and knew a lot of people and different things like that where it made it easier. It's not that easy for a lot of people.
Right.
Look at Mike McDaniel, our head coach, he's, from the ground up since he was like 23 years old, starting in a video department and able to kind of build himself up to, when he gets his opportunity, he's going to take advantage of it. And he started getting, opportunities and continued to learn and get better and all those different things. And now he's a head coach, but the person that's persistent at trying to get into that situation is probably a person who's going to be very persistent at their job.
Yeah.
And so I think, that's one thing to kind of take away from it.
Definitely. Well, again, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Excited for the golf tournament on Monday. Like I said, the weather looks amazing. So let's go out there, raise some money. And then we have an auction after it too, right?
We do.
Which is going to be a chicken pickle, I think.
Yes.
Excited for that. So again, thanks so much, man. Really appreciate it. For people listening, I'll put the link to the website so you can go check that out and see the amazing things that the foundation is doing. And we will catch you next episode. Cheers. This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling Oklahoma stories through its people since 1927. Follow them online at oklahomahof.com and definitely on Instagram at oklahomahof.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.